Welcome back to the booth. I'm professional voice actor John Bailey, and this is going to be another tips and tricks video for my Microphone Monday this week. I did one of these previously, talked about things like avoiding loose change to avoid background noise, things like that, but there were some things brought to my attention I did not previously think about, such as the female's point of view. And a very nice lady on, I believe it was Voice Actors United, that on Facebook had mentioned that females have to hold another range of things to worry about when it comes to things that make noise in the booth. Necklaces, earrings, bracelets, charm bracelets, loose-fitting metal watches, maybe possibly even things in your hair, those belt clip things that are on some of your outfits, metal buttons that might cling together. There's a lot of things. Anything metal or plastic that's going to bump against something else should be avoided if possible. And I even found out from a video game session I did a few weeks ago that even certain types of material rubbing against each other make noise. I was wearing a nice button-down t-shirt, and because I was having dinner with Rob Paulson that evening, and my t-shirt underneath my button-down was rubbing against it, making all kinds of noise. Another thing to avoid is make sure that you watch what you eat and when you eat, as well as what you drink and when you drink. I'd been in the plane for 4 hours, and I had gotten straight off the plane, gone to my ride, from my ride to the studio, and in that 6-hour time frame, I had not eaten. And it didn't dawn on me till I'd already started the session that my stomach was growling, and I knew it was picking up in the microphone. So we had to take a break. Got a little tiny something to eat, made sure that I refreshened up with some water. You wouldn't want to drink soda. You wouldn't want to eat something that you know is going to give you... I mean, I would not go to a Mexican restaurant right before I recorded, because you're going to give yourself indigestion, or anything that causes indigestion. You wouldn't want to, And I would not drink a big, giant caffeinated drink, because that could cause guttural sounds. It could cause me to burp. It could cause... Even the can itself sitting in the studio, you can hear that hissing and popping coming from the can. So you want to try to have tea in there. You want to have water, something like that. Now, usually I try to eat before a session, but not right before a session, usually like an hour before, just so there's enough things in my stomach to make sure that there's no noise coming out of it. As far as another trick is to make sure that you have a watermark on your audition file, because some companies do it for you, but there is nothing physically stopping a client, if you're auditioning online especially, to take your property and use it on their project, especially if you read the entire thing. There's no watermark that overlays on any of that audio. There's nothing physically stopping them. Morally, is it wrong? Yes, of course it's wrong for them to take your product without permission or without paying you for it, but there's nothing physically stopping them from doing it, and it has been known to happen. So there's two things you can do to avoid this. First of all, you should always have a slate. You should always have John Bailey at the beginning, your name, or have someone of the opposite sex have your name read at the end. Keep that little file and add that to the beginning of every one. That way they know first thing, oh, this is so-and-so. The other thing is to have a watermark at the end. Usually a watermark is a small piece of music it fades in, but it covers up the end. Let's say, here's your waveform, and here's your watermark. So your voice is going on DVD and Blu-ray this Sunday. Right towards that this last little bit, it'll have, oh, and there'll be a little song or whatever, or your name or the company's name, but something that keeps that from being used, because that destroys the file. They can't use that audio because it's got something else over it, and it's impossible to separate that music, whatever sound effect. It's possible to take that away from the voice. The other thing you can do to avoid that from happening is not to read the entire script, especially when you're auditioning online, because most often they'll send you a paragraph. It's very, very rarely is it like just one line or a few words. In that sense, it's nearly impossible to not do the entire thing, especially if it's just a few sentences. If it's just like today at 3 p.m., there's no way to shorten that. But if it's an entire script, don't read the entire thing, especially if it's a long script. If you have a whole 2-3 pages, or if it's an entire audiobook, never read the entire thing for the audition. You may think, I'll impress them by reading this entire thing. No, you're giving them an opportunity and causing a temptation for them to say, wow, he already read this. We could save ourselves $2,000 and just take this audio and use it on our project, and he'll never know, or she'll never know. So always make sure that you only do a portion of the script when you're auditioning. Hopefully these little tips and tricks have helped you in some way. I try to keep this very short. I'll be back next week, and I'll try to have either another celebrity interview, or I'll try to give you another video that benefits you in some way. So hopefully you learned something, and I guess I'll see you next Monday. So thank you very much.